Let's start with some Greek mythology. Icarus, famous for creating a pair of wings out of nothing but wax and feathers and flying high into the sky. Too high, in fact. Against his father's wishes, he flew too close to the sun and the wax on the wings melted and he fell into the sea. Drowned. Dead. So what's the moral of the story? Listen to your parents, maybe? Perhaps. But I think that Icarus got too confident. Nay, too cocky. Welcome to the current Icarus of the Chinese EV world, the Xiaomi SU7. It flew all the way to the sun on a budget, and boy has it been burned. But props where props are due, not many get that close to the sun on a low budget that Icarus and Xiaomi were working with. And so drawbacks are to be expected. This is the ambitious Xiaomi SU7. I'm Will, and this is China Driven. Let me recap for those of you in the back of the class. You see, Xiaomi came to prominence as a smartphone maker, and their formula was pretty simple. Flagship-like specs for mid-level money. Basically, value for money. And Xiaomi is a household name. Everybody has a Xiaomi product, probably multiple. I mean, they do things like smartphones, TVs, robot vacuums. They do smart refrigerators, smart washing machines, smart rice cookers. In fact, it would be easy to list the things that Xiaomi doesn't. And the thing is, they offer a lot of this tech for better value than their competitors. So naturally, they made an EV and they follow through their kind of philosophy of offering amazing specs and features and tech for a reasonable price, aimed at their young, tech-savvy, loyal customer base. And when this went on sale, when it was unveiled, the order numbers were absolutely bananas. Nearly 89,000 orders in the first 24 hours, 10,000 orders in the first 4 minutes, and 50,000 orders within the first half an hour. Now, China's still in love with the Xiaomi SU7, but since deliveries, a few issues have come to light. Things like complaints about thin paint and these 3/4 panels here kind of coming undone. But those problems, compared to the latest one, are small potatoes. You see, the Xiaomi SU7 Max comes with these 4-piston Brembo brakes. Well, apparently, they suck, or at least in some environments they do. Reports of crashes from brake failure on track have started to surface online. And by brake failure, I mean the pads being literally reduced to nothing with very short track time. Some claiming with inside 1 lap. But before I beat on the Xiaomi SU7 Max, let me say a couple of things in its defense. Road car brakes only have to deal with and be able to handle on-road performance. And anyone who's seriously tracked a car knows that you swap out stock brake pads for track-focused brake pads at the least, maybe some high-temp brake fluid and stainless steel brake lines. There may be some cars out there whose stock brakes do well on track, but that's not the standard. However, brakes disintegrating into nothing on 1 hot track lap is absolutely horrendous, and they definitely should do better than that. And I get it, Xiaomi stoked this fire by reminding everybody this was benchmarked against the Taycan and going on about its on-track prowess, even putting out adverts of the SU7 Max on track. And I guess that's why people were annoyed, because it just doesn't have that high performance, stable braking power. But please do remember that a Porsche Taycan with the same on-paper performance as the SU7 Max costs 5 times the price. It'd be the Taycan Turbo. And the way I see it is you could buy one of these, do a full big brake upgrade, and still you would have a performance EV that was 5 times cheaper. But let's root everything in reality about the SU7. because you have to understand that the SU7 is a bargain, a reasonable price with decent on-paper stats.
The base rear-wheel drive version is equipped with a 73.6 kilowatt-hour BYD LFP blade battery. It has a claimed 700 kilometers of range, and it will take you just 25 minutes to go from 10 to 80% on a fast charger. And it will set you back just 215,900 RMB, or just under $30,000. For about $4,000 more, you can jump up to the middle of the range to SU Pro. You have the same rear-wheel drive powertrain as the base model, pushing 220 kilowatts and 400 Newton meters, but a larger 94.4 kilowatt-hour LFP battery from CATL. That rewards you with a much longer 830 kilometers of range, but a larger pack means fast charging times are a bit slower, 10 to 80% in 30 minutes.
But the star of the show, the pedestal queen, is this, the Xiaomi SU7 Max, the current top performer of the model range. An all-wheel drive monster pushing 495 kilowatts of power and 838 Newton meters of torque. You can have this for just under 300,000 RMB, or just over $41,000, but we'll get onto the performance a bit later.
The SU7 Max gets an even larger 101 kilowatt-hour NCM battery from CATL with a slightly lower 800 kilometers range. The SU7 Max is also 800 volt compared to the rear-wheel drive version's 400 volts, meaning the fastest recharge times in the range, 10 to 80% in about 20 minutes.
The Xiaomi SU7 turns heads on road. Facts, and it's not surprising. It's a good-looking thing. Low, sleek, and stylish, with all the right elements you'd expect of a car boasting this much performance. It's definitely not a sleeper car. It's one thing to benchmark your performance versus a Porsche Taycan, but it's another thing to benchmark your silhouette. And the similarities between the SU7 and the Porsche Taycan haven't gone unnoticed. But on a serious note, it does dampen the mood around the Xiaomi SU7, especially online outside of China. It drags up comments about Chinese copycat styling that plagued the Chinese domestic market a decade ago. And that's a real shame, I think, because recently Chinese EVs have been having absolute home runs when it comes to styling. And I just wish that the Xiaomi SU7 was a little bit more brave. While I don't think that the Xiaomi SU7 is an exact copy of the Porsche Taycan, there are some similarities, especially down the side profile. But also, there is a heavy whiff of McLaren 720S in the headlights. In terms of alloy choices, there are three. There's a 19-inch that's standard on all models. There's an optional 20-inch on all models, and then this optional 21-inch rim, which is only available on the SU7 Max. And behind them, those yellow brake calipers, they are the naughty 4-piston Brembo brakes. And Xiaomi claim they're able to stop the SU7 from 100 kilometers an hour to 0 in 33.3 meters. Just don't try that after doing a lap on the track. Okay, I'm standing at a little bit of an awkward angle because of the wind, but back here on the Xiaomi SU7, it has an electronically deployable spoiler. It goes up to 25 degrees and you can set it at different angles, either manually, or you can let the car do it itself. Now back here, overall, I like all the design elements of the Xiaomi SU7, except these taillights. I don't like them. I could be more diplomatic, but I just don't like them. They're too wide, they're too big, they're just not sleek, they're just not sexy enough. They just look completely out of place. It looks like they should be on an SUV, not a low-slung sports coupe. The SU7 actually has a decent size boot. Xiaomi claim that it's got 517 litres in the base and Pro models with this Max model having slightly less at 493 litres, probably because of packaging constraints of the air suspension on this model, amongst other things. But even still, that's pretty decent. It beats out other competitors like the Xpeng P7, the Neo ET7 by a mile, and the Zeekr 007. So, the Xiaomi SU7, the trunk king of the 7s? Oh, you can also pop down the seats to get even more space, but I don't have an official figure for that. So in the Xiaomi SU7, you actually get a decently sized frunk, 105 litres to be exact, and you can open it using the app. There you go, which I think should be standard on all EVs that have a frunk. You can also buy some accessories like this cargo bin from Xiaomi that will fit in and make it a more usable shape, even though you might lose a litre or two around the side. However, closing on a hot day, it is pretty hot and it requires a bit of force in order to do it. I still haven't done it, have I? Oh no. There. There's quite a lot going on with the styling in here, but generally, aesthetically, I like it. I like it a lot, in fact. You know, it's kind of sporty with a few nods to the kind of driver focusedness of this EV. The steering wheel is very kind of Porsche-esque with these swivel knobs that protrude from the center. The left-hand side deals with all of your ADAS, and the right-hand side swivels between your drive modes. Ringed in red because, well, I guess red is for sporty, or if you've seen the reports of brake failure, maybe red for Chinese good luck. Behind that steering wheel, you get a small 7.1-inch instrument panel. And although it's small, it's very uncluttered. The speedometer is front and center, and it actually gets larger the more sporty the mode you're in. It also, in the Sport Plus mode, will have stuff like a accelerator input kind of display on the right and a G meter on the left. And when you turn the car off, well, that instrument panel kind of folds away to show a silhouette of the SU7. Ooh, fancy. Now, in this Max version, you get a truly massive heads-up display. In fact, Xiaomi say it's equivalent to a 56-inch screen in size. And it's kind of dominated by the sat-nav. And I really like using it during the daytime. However, because it is so big, I think some might find it overly distracting at night. Either way, this is only available on the Max version. It's not even an option on the Base and Pro. This is big boy stuff. In the middle, you have a 16.1-inch 3K touchscreen, and it's powered by the Snapdragon 8295 CPU. Now, the system is running on what is called Xiaomi's Hyper OS. And if you don't know, the Hyper OS is basically what all of Xiaomi's smart devices are running on, their phones, their tablets, and whatnot. And what that means is the SU7 has a big focus on integration of smart devices, more than any other EV on the market right now. In fact, you can add the car to something that's called Mi Jia or Xiaomi Home, and you can actually connect the car and access and control your smart home devices. For example, here is a camera. We can turn it on, and then we can view the camera from a great distance whilst we're in the car. And Xiaomi actually say that you can connect up to 1,000 different smart home devices to the car. Not only that, but you will be able to add the car into your smart home scenario. So for example, if you're coming home from work, you could have it set up so the car becomes a trigger to turn on your AC or your heating. So when you get home, your house is at a comfortable temperature. That's pretty cool. Now, smart EVs in China, a lot of them put a lot of effort into their infotainment OS, trying to make it responsive and intuitive, and this one definitely is. It's very much like a tablet that you might have at home. It's kind of got swipes like you might have on a tablet to bring up sub-menus and quick menus, and it's very responsive. But one thing that Xiaomi has included, which a lot of smart EVs in China don't have, is Apple CarPlay and CarLink for Android. That's a lot rarer than you might think. Another interesting thing about this screen is that you can buy a lot of different accessories, and none of them are terribly expensive, quite reasonably priced. Talking about 200 yuan, like a 30 bucks kind of area. Now, this owner went with a phone holder charger, which personally I wouldn't have bought, because you already get a 50-watt wireless charger in the center console, and obviously you got sat nav up on the main screen. If it was me, I would be choosing the physical buttons, because Xiaomi gives you an option to buy a row of physical buttons which attach to the bottom of the screen via magnets, and you can use them to control different parts of the car, like for example the AC. There are some very good, very useful accessories. However, there are some that are absolutely tacky. I'm talking about the newest accessory for the Xiaomi SU7, the exterior underbody glow. That's right, for 200 yuan or 27 bucks, you can pretend that you're in the early 2000s Too Fast, Too Furious movie with underbody neon glow, 27 gear changes, and the belief that you can save the world in your car. Personally, I'm holding out for the fake NOS purge kit, because if you're going to go tacky 2000s, you might as well go all the way. Now, material quality is of a level in here. Don't get me wrong, it looks good, but the quality of materials are of a level, and that's because you have to remember that the base car has the same interior as this and comes in at 215,000 RMB, or about $30,000. Now, you've got things like this dark wood, which I think, pretty sure is plastic, but it does look good in this dark color. And in this center console, you have this row of metal buttons, and they're really sturdy units. They feel very good quality. However, the switch gauge and like the buttons on the steering wheel, that's really hard plastic, and they just don't feel that nice. Elsewhere, you have what Tesla would call vegan leather, or aka fake leather, with red stitching up here on the dash and on the seats. Now, you can option real leather for the seats. That's an 8,000 RMB, or about $1,000 upgrade. Heat and ventilation is standard for the front row, and on this max version of the standard, you get the headrest speakers, and that's because you get the 25 speaker surround sound system with Dolby Atmos spatial audio as standard on the max version. However, on the base and pro, it's an optional extra, and as standard, you have to make do with a 10 speaker system. Okay, in the back of the Xiaomi SU7. Now, in pictures and videos, this looks deceptively small, but in reality, it's not. It's got a 3-meter long wheelbase, and that means, sat behind myself, in fact, this is a little bit further back because of the easy access, so the seat comes back and the steering wheel moves out of the way. So there's actually less space than I would have behind myself. Now, I'm 5'7", 170 centimeters, not the tallest in the world, but I have a lot of room back here. As for headroom, about a fist and a half. So again, if you're like 190 centimeters, 6 foot, you'll probably be fine back here. In terms of material qualities in here, they're the same kind of as the front. You get this kind of darkened wood, which I'm pretty sure is plastic. You still get hard plastic for the switch gauge, but you know, there's a soft touch at the top, this kind of faux micro suede, and some kind of soft touch plastic for the door handles. And it's the same, and it looks pretty good back here. In terms of features or options back here, you can get an optional, well, first of all, you can get an optional fragrance system. I think I forgot to mention that, which this car does have. But you can also get this optional rear fridge, which actually a fridge, I think, is 2 to 15 degrees or 30 to 50 degrees. So you can also keep things warm in here as well. You get 2 USB sockets as well back here. Obviously, a couple of cup holders in the pull-down armrest. And apart from that, the rest of it is a pretty normal back seat. I am a little bit confused by these though. These are the grab handles, but they're just like a piece of, I guess it's fake leather. But in my mind, when I see something like this, it kind of reminds me of those really lightweight cars with those kind of fabric door handles you might see in a Porsche. But in a massively heavy EV, my brain just looks at this and goes, I don't understand why such a minimal grab handle was required. But there it is. Now, obviously, Xiaomi was talking a lot about its integration of its smart devices and its smart car. We already saw that you can connect the car to Xiaomi Home and monitor a camera in your house. Now, in photos, you may have seen rear entertainment screens back here, but they're not really screens. What they are Xiaomi pads. You can even get a 12.1 inch, I think it is, or an 11 inch pad. And basically, on the back of these, there's a 3-pin smart connector you might find on something like an iPad Pro. It's then put into a case and it moves those 3 pins into the center of the pad. You then pick up one of these, which is a way to attach that pad to the car. Okay, so you just clip it on the back like this. And then in the back of the seats, there is a port here, a smart connection port. You can see here, again, bringing those smart connections into here, and you can then clip it in to here and it even at the bottom of the side, so you can angle it how you wish. From here you can now control sat nav, music, AC, and if you put it into the passenger seat, you can even control the passenger seat to move it backwards and forwards to move it out of your way. Now you can access this because it's via Bluetooth when you take the pad out, but when you put the pad in, it automatically opens up this app in order to interact with the car. And that's just, again, showing you this kind of heavy idea of smart devices and smart EVs just being part of that smart ecosystem that Xiaomi's been building for years. Generally, the interior is nice and material qualities are on par with competitors at this kind of 200 to 250 price range where you'll find the base and pro. However, for this max version, there are plenty of competitors at 300,000 RMB price point that have more premium, better material interiors. However, the Xiaomi SU7 is not about how premium its interior is. Oh, no. This thing is about driving and performance. The rear-wheel drive base and pro model both have 220 kilowatts of power and 400 newton meters of torque, but the base is a little bit faster at 5.28 seconds versus 5.7 seconds, simply because it has a smaller battery and weighs less. Now this, the all-wheel drive, the SU7 Max, has 495 kilowatts of power and 838 newton meters of torque, which is good for 0 to 100 in 2.78 seconds or 0 to 200 in 10.67 seconds, which is kind of crazy. And it also has a top speed of 265 kilometers per hour. So the driving dynamics in the SU7 are absolutely class. The front end just grips and you can just absolutely rip around corners. This is by far the best driving Chinese EV that I've experienced. And what's super nice is when you are changing direction very, very quickly, this has active side bolstering, so it will inflate in order to kind of prop you up as you're pulling G's going around a corner. This lives up to the hype in the driving department and then some. Now the suspension in here is actually pretty nice. The Max version comes with air suspension and CDC, but there's not a huge world of difference between Comfort and Sport Plus mode. In Sport Plus mode, the ride is surprisingly comfortable, but compliant, well dampened, and handles great. Now, okay, in Comfort mode, I would say at the very extremities, Comfort does round off some of these harsher bumps, but it's not that big of a difference. And that is a welcome thing. It's not just soft and squidgy in Comfort and hard and teeth shattering in Sport Plus. It's really, really a great suspension setup. But saying that, it does mean that this is not a comfortable long distance cruiser, but then you shouldn't come into this thinking that it would be. Now in the Xiaomi SU7, the steering is super direct, But in comfort mode, there's something a little bit off with the steering. I mean, it's overly boosted, artificially so, but there's something else, and it's really hard for me to explain. The best I can come up with is kind of feels like there's a rubber band kind of pulling it back. It just feels off. It doesn't exist in Sport Plus mode, thankfully. And like I said, the direct steering, although there is no feel, is really, really great because the nose just follows whatever you do with the steering wheel. Now, it may accelerate like a Porsche, and it may look like a Porsche, but supposedly one thing it doesn't do is brake like a Porsche. But I'm being a little bit unfair because on road, the brake performance has been great. They're responsive, they're quick, they have a decent pedal feel. And it seems that all the complaints about the brakes are solely to do with going on track. So on road, these 4-piston Brembos seem to do the job really well. Now you might be able to hear that, but when you accelerate, you get this kind of acceleration noise. And it is great, and it does add to the whole experience and drama of driving this car quickly. You can turn it off, but the problem is if you don't, then when you're driving along normally, under very mild acceleration like now, you just get this drone as if you've put on a bad exhaust on your car, and now you've got exhaust drone. Fun for messing around, not fun for day-to-day life. Now, one other thing that you can do in the Xiaomi is you can set up custom modes, which is not unique, but it goes way beyond just like steering way and suspension, you know, softness. You can do things like adjust the amount of throttle input in order to achieve max acceleration. You can also shuffle the power to make this 100% rear wheel drive, 100% front wheel drive, or any percentage in between. If you want 27% to the front, you can have 27% to the front. So that kind of granularity kind of lets you know that this is made to really, for kind of driving nerds, so they can just tweak it exactly how they want it. Okay, in terms of ADAS, Xiaomi offers 2 systems. Now listen carefully because might get a bit confusing. You have the Xiaomi Pilot Pro and the Xiaomi Pilot Max. The base SU7 comes with the Xiaomi Pilot Pro, and the Pro and Max SU7s come with the Xiaomi Pilot Max. Now, the Xiaomi Pilot Pro is a vision-only system. It's basically a L2 ADAS system with lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control. It also has a highway NOA feature, and it's powered by many cameras and sensors, and at the core of it is an NVIDIA Orin N chip, I think, because it only has 84 tops. Now the Xiaomi Pilot Max, which you can get on the Pro and the Max models, comes with the 128 line Hesai LiDAR on the roof, and that has 2 Orin X chips for 508 tops. It has a highway NOA, and in addition, supposedly it's in beta testing, it will have in the future a city NOA feature as well. How often does something live completely up to the hype? It sounds like a fair question, except we overhype everything nowadays, especially on the internet, with unrealistic expectations. And when a fault appears, however small, we act like spoiled toddlers and trample over it, throwing a tantrum. Was the Xiaomi SU7 overhyped? Probably. I mean, people were talking about this like it was some sort of supercar performance EV, tech hero, and completely faultless with a budget price tag to match. Just completely unrealistic. But does the SU7 deserve hype in moderation? Oh, for damn sure. The performance, the tech, the price. I mean, it's unbeatable right now. It just isn't perfect. But neither am I. And my mummy still loves me.